It was demonstrated by the gargoyles that were there holding the sands of time horizontally to stop the sands from flowing up and down, and they therefore had captured time with the Gregorian calendar. Now with the Gregorian calendar, they tell you what day Monday is, what day Tuesday is, what day Wednesday is. And that is the calendar all the stock markets on planet Earth use to pay out to. All shipping and commerce moves by that calendar. They literally watch the movement and shipment of all commerce. And they say, or they claim, that they have been given, they have heavenly authorizations to be in command and control of those shipping lanes and those timelines to watch the shipment and movement of all commerce. So basically all they do is watch the shipment and movement of all monies and all cargo on planet Earth, to include the militaries, because you can't move militaries without money being somewhere first. So these guys know where the wars are going to be, they know where they're going to start, and they know who's behind starting them and finishing them off.
On this episode of Just Informed Talk, we're going to take a deep look at previous Q posts that are going to give us an insight into what may be coming ahead. I've been talking to some sources that say this is something to be looked at, so we're going to cover it here. It all connects to Italy, China, the Pope, Vatican City, and the coronavirus. So you guys are going to want to stick around and hear about that and a whole bunch of other breaking news stories. So stick around and check it out. Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. You guys know the drill. I always like to start by saying thank you. If you've hit that subscribe button, if you haven't, please come here to the landing page, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications, then select all, so you get notified as soon as all of these videos get posted. Today, we're going to pick up right where we left off. We left off at Q post 3894, and that's where we're at. We have not had any new Q posts. We're still in a holding pattern there, but let me tell you something. We're going to get into some major stories that have broken, and we're going to talk about how they relate back to some previous Q posts, and we're just going to look at it. So you guys are going to want to stick around and check out that and a whole lot more here on this episode. So let's just jump right into it. First of all, we know Italy has been entirely quarantined. Now, I was talking to some sources, and I talked to a friend, and let's just say I was hearing that everything that's happening globally is not looking very normal, if that makes sense. Now, what I'm talking about here, obviously, is does an entire country shut down all of its borders for a virus, for a flu? Or is there something more going on? People have made speculations online that there's some sort of martial law happening, and the people I talk to say it sounds a lot like what you would do in any military action. If there was a military action against a certain state, it would be one way to do it if you were to create enough confusion and cause enough panic surrounding whatever operation you were trying to pull off, to where you could actually restrict globally the movements of people who are going to be picked up for crimes. Now, what we talked about before also was that there was a connection between what Q told us was coming and this Italian lockdown, because red could be interpreted a few different ways. First of all, rig for red is something that we looked back on in the last episode, and what I kind of speculated at the outset was that it was just referring to they were possibly staging this whole event for some other purpose, and then I left it to you guys to kind of figure it out. Since then, I've found a little more information, and thought I'd just share it with you guys. If you want to hear about it, I'm just going to go through it real quick. We have connections between Red and the Rothschild family, and I think the Red Castle is an example of their fortune or empire and their control globally. Now, what is connected directly to Rothschild, I think, is people like George Soros and others who Q has told us in the past to look at more closely as far as all of this entire criminal network goes on a global sense. Now, from what I've heard, and what seems to make the most sense to me, is that all of these criminal global cartels, the cabal's cartel, is globally interconnected. It's all a big weaving framework of different networks that connect to different financial institutions primarily, and that's how there's like a it was described to me, I guess, as kind of like a daisy chain that takes us all around the world to all of the different major financial institutions, and then that connects all of these criminal organizations together, and then that's how you can find who's really in control of it. And from what I can tell, all the roads lead back to Italy. And what in Italy? Well, most specifically, a little country inside the country of Italy called Vatican City. Now, that's just preliminary, guessing there, but I can tell you right now that it seems that whatever's happening on this global scale, there's a reason why the major infection started with its entire inflection point coming from China and then spreading from there. And you've seen a limited exposure here in the United States, while you've seen this massive exposure in China and in Italy now and in other countries, but primarily those two who are most seemingly affected. Now you have to ask yourself, do they know what's coming? Do they understand that President Trump is engaged in this battle against this major monolithic conspiracy, as it's been put before? Yeah, I think they obviously know that. I think it's very clear that they're aware of what's going on. And the way it was explained to me is like this. And this is just, talking with people about this and kind of trying to understand what's going on here, right? It's probably a good thing if nobody really understands what's going on. I know that sounds counterintuitive, especially for us here as we try to put pieces together to understand what's happening globally. But ultimately what it was alluded to for me was that, or what had, come to me kind of through talking this out and thinking about it, is that it's very possible that there is an active operation going on where we are engaged in collecting more criminals, shutting down global networks. And, a lot of you out there are going to complain and say, where are the arrests? Where are the mass indictments? Where are the, FBI SWAT teams raiding the homes of all of these corrupt politicians and corrupt corporate leaders and big tech oligarchs, etc. The best thing I could say to that is this. In order to preserve national security, in order to preserve, societal order, you may not be able to see a lot of these things outwardly as they happen in real time. But rest assured, from what I have gathered, even if you don't see it happening in real time, at some point in the very near future, we should hopefully be able to see not only the indictments come out, but then people face trial, people end up in court, and open trials that will show, a fair trial, because we're still a country based on the rule of law and order, right? So we can't get into this mindset where, what part becomes war, what part becomes inside the judiciary. You have to be able to make those tell the difference between the two. So the way I think about what's happening is pretty simple. I think about it in the sense of we have internal actors who need to be dealt with internally via the judicial system and the justice system, and then you have external actors who can be dealt with in a different way. And I'm not going to get any more details on that because, I really don't have much to give you, except that that's what I'm thinking in my mind, may be happening. And you guys let me know what you think down in the comments, because I'm just kind of talking this out like I've been doing from day one here with you, walking some of these theories out and seeing what you guys think about them. And then we go back and look at the evidence and see what it points to. That's really as simple as it gets. This is the simplest way to have a conversation, except the mainstream media wants to shut down our ability to talk to one another. So you guys can't have, we can't have a community where we come together and discuss these things. So let's try to, look at this rationally, logically, and ask ourselves what may be going on behind the scenes. Now, if you couple that with what's happening here in New Jersey, they have their first COVID-19 coronavirus death. And apparently New York is now deploying the National Guard to this place, New Rochelle, which is in New York. And it says some very interesting information here about the guy who was, I guess, involved in the spread of this. It says New Rochelle is the home to the Midtown Manhattan lawyer who has been linked to dozens of cases across multiple states. He was the second confirmed case in New York and is its first instance of community spread. So what they're basically saying is that they're going to shut down this area and bring in the National Guard, which, I mean, if you guys understand what we dealt with here on Q from the beginning, then you'll understand what I'm about to talk about. And this is going all the way back to October 31st, around the time of the first initial Q posts that were even coming out. Now, think about this. What Q told us was, this was the post 15, and it says, there are more good people than bad. The Wizards and Warlocks inside term will not allow another satanic evil POS control our country. Realize Soros, Clintons, Obama, Putin, etc. are all controlled by three families. The fourth was removed post Trump's victory. 11-3, Podesta indicted. 11-6, UMA indicted. Manafort was placed into Trump's campaign as well as others. The corruption that will come out is so serious that deals must be cut for people to walk away. Otherwise, 70% of elected politicians would be in jail. You are seeing it already begin. A deep cleaning is occurring, and the prevention and defense of pure evil is occurring on a daily basis. They never thought they were going to lose control of the presidency, not just the Democrats, and thought they had control since making past mistakes. JFK, Reagan, Godspeed, Patriots. P.S. Soros is targeted. Now, think about this. This is crazy. Going back to October of 2017, today or tomorrow will be March 11th. And we know that it's common for some people to write the date this way, where it's the month second, the date first, month second. So all I'm saying is, if you look at this information, you think to yourself, think about the mirrors, or excuse me, it would be a mirror. I'm not saying they would write the date. You know, they write dates differently. But the point is that Podesta, what does Podesta connect to? Italy. Connects back to Vatican City. It all connects back to this, how they were involved possibly in some major infiltrations. And I think it's funneling its way down through like a snake. Think about the Rothschild dynasty. That's what it's all about. The Rothschild banking empire is beholden to whom? The Vatican. It all ties back to the Vatican. The Vatican, over the centuries, has existed while countries have come and gone. Think about that in just context of what we're talking about here, right? This is an organization that's an empire, if you will, that's lasted beyond most countries' lifespans to a certain degree. And here you have them exhibiting their power and influence, and this was the connecting point. This is the bridge, right? Remember what Q talked about when we said bridges? Well, think about bridges and Podesta, and then think of the daisy chain and where that all leads back to. Because UMA and Podesta are perfect dichotomy between the two different ideas, right? You have the Rothschild Vatican influence coming down through Podesta, which goes to Epstein. It goes to the Epstein Island. It goes to Les Wexner. It goes to all of the different things that we've connected on the dots, Nexium, all of that stuff, right? And then UMA goes to what? The Muslim Brotherhood. Do you understand the effort to infiltrate and overthrow our country was multifaceted. It wasn't just coming from one person or another, or one faction or another. You have to understand, we're the most powerful country in the world. You don't think everybody wants to come in and take a piece of that and then to become the rulers of this, or to be able to undermine its authority and sovereignty so that they can, basically undercut its ability to be the most powerful country in the world? Think about these things. And really, I only say this because this all seems to make sense to me when you look at it on a macro level. And I'm letting you guys look at it for yourselves to understand, where we're at, what's happening, and how this virus, this thing that came out of nowhere, which has shut down entire countries now, with Italy being the first, is ultimately, seemingly, all a part of the plan. Not to say, obviously, that coronavirus is not real, or that it's not harmful, or that it's I'm not one of those people. I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving you medical advice. I'm telling you right now, though, that this And I don't know who did it or how it happened, but I can tell you right now that everything that's happening seems to be happening in a way that if I were to put together a, military operation that needed to have some sort of global cover for certain things to take place as needed, then a convenient way to cover up the tracks and or confuse the masses is to create a pandemic, and then to have multiple different heads of different parts of our government say multiple different things, thereby increasing the confusion, have these limited quarantines in certain areas where you can even, as in New Rochelle in New York, you can enforce martial law, which would give you the perfect cover to operate, I don't know, certain other clandestine operations. But I'm just throwing that out there for you guys. And maybe it all starts in March, and then it all ends or comes up for the next iteration, which will be the Muslim Brotherhood, and its infiltration is coming up in, I don't know, July or June. I'm throwing it out there. But this one always stands out to me anyway, because it talks about this thing right here where Q says, deals must be cut for people to walk away. Otherwise, 70% of elected politicians would be in jail. So think about all the politicians who've stepped down, who've resigned, who've left their positions, and then look at all the CEOs who resigned, and think about what progress we've actually made up to this point. If even if a fraction of those are connected to this, what Q is saying here, that, in my opinion, is progress in and of itself, because patriots are now in control. Rest assured of that. I can tell you right now. And John Kerry campaigns with Joe Biden's rich brother, telling Floridians. Now, this is just, I wanted to share this because this is a case of their projection, just continually, their fever dream that they're going to get something on President Trump before we, the American people, wake up to what they've done to us for decades and even longer. So this is what we're looking at here. They're saying that President Trump should worry about going to the big house, and think about what Q says here. It says, the presidency, not just Democrats, thought they had control since making past mistakes. JFK, Reagan. What happened about JFK and Reagan? Yeah. They try to control through intimidation, and the intimidation of the use of force possibly against the president of the United States. I don't know. I'm asking you guys to let me know what you think about that, because that just blows my mind when I read this and think of what President Trump's going through, how difficult it is for obviously him to just effectively run his administration, not to mention have to deal with this kind of evil that exists. I mean, we just have to I think, continue to support the president and continue to work hard. And there's not much we can do in all this except try to understand it better and try to help, bring others up to speed with what's going on. I think that's really what this is all about. Because they're going to continue to project and use their fake news machine to lie and have them intimidate via their fake news talking heads. I mean, here you have Bloomberg's advisor saying that they'll go scorched earth with retaliation against President Trump's children if they go after Hunter Biden. So think about what this is, right? This is some nobody political hack on MSDNC, the DNC's private network for propaganda. And he's going on there and saying, and the host is like just, leading him through the whole process. She's like, oh, well, Bloomberg. Well, why don't you get Bloomberg to use all his money to start writing hit pieces about how Ivanka Trump had a trademark in China on the same day that her and her dad had a dinner with the President Xi in Mar-a-Lago. Well, it's a little bit different to have some trademarks approved that you had in the works for a long time and they're independent through your independent company that may have some manufacturing ties with China, as opposed to, I don't know, going and working at the most corrupt company in Ukraine and getting six-figure salary when you have absolutely no idea how to run a oil and gas company apparently, and also going to China and just being handed $1.5 billion. So there's a little bit of a difference, but they're going to try to make it out as if it's apples to apples, when it's apples to boulders. I don't know. It's completely different. And this is what we're going to be up against coming up here. You have people like this saying scorched earth in reference to how they're going to go after President Trump's kids. So think about this. It's not just President Trump who's putting everything on the line. His family is there too, helping him through this. And I think we as the American people can stand up for these individuals and say, look, we, the American people, will stand behind the people who are trying to end corruption, who are trying to bring back a single-tier justice system to this country, who's trying to help stop, these scourges on humanity, such as global human trafficking, that's child trafficking, that ends up being sex trafficking, or the drug trafficking scourge, or all of these other rampant corrupt, markets that exist out there. You have to pick a side, I think, at this point. Are you going to believe the mainstream? I don't pick a side. It's the red pill or the blue pill. You can have the blue pill and pretend everything's okay. Put your head in the sand, pretend like nothing's happening, and that we're not in the middle of a silent war, as Q has said. Or you can take the red pill and you can start waking other people up and telling them very specifically that stuff like this should be looked at a little closer. Xinhua Net, back on, September of 2019, had a very interesting visitor in China's Wuhan province. German Chancellor Angela Merkel. So Angela Merkel makes a very special visit to the Wuhan province of China, and even makes a point to stop at a medical center, it seems here, the Tongji Medical Center of the Huazhong University of Science and Technology in Wuhan, in the capital city of Hubei province. So here you go. Back in September of 2019, here's Angela Merkel there. And think about what this might mean. What was being planned, do you think, possibly between the EU and China? I wonder. I don't know. You guys are going to have to let me know down in the comments. And how does this tie into what we're seeing today? And even though, like a lot of people have said, there's all types of different theories out there, but I'll tell you this. If something were put together in a plot against us, right? Let's say to, effectively have a disease go out or something like that. I can tell you that not only would we be prepared, but we'd be prepared to take that and turn it on its head and use it to effectively go after these people. Or we knew about it the whole time. I don't know. I'm leaving that for you guys to let me know down in the comments. So it's something to be looked at very closely, not to mention President Trump going hard at the Federal Reserve, which we know is, as Q has told us, is just an organization that fleeces the American public, that takes our money with a fiat currency by charging interest to continually enrich those who control that private entity, not the American people. So would it be interesting if this whole Wuhan virus, the market scare, oil dropping, ended up with us going off of the petrodollar fiat currency into something more like a gold-backed U.S. Treasury note? I'm just throwing that out there. You guys let me know what you think down in the comments, because that's something I thought initially when I read this. And if it is just a big currency war that we're trying to break ourselves off the international system, I mean, you have contingencies for contingencies, I think, when it comes to planning, and when the military planning gets involved, which President Trump is the commander-in-chief of the military, then you have this high level of synchronicity that can happen. And regardless of how all this coronavirus stuff got started, I can tell you right now that the plans were in place to handle any contingency, any alternative outcome. So that's what it seems that we're encountering right now. No matter what they do, they cannot stop what is coming, as President Trump tweeted out the other day from our friend Dan Scavino, who's one of the better White House advisors, probably one of his best White House advisors as it stands at this moment. But, I'm just going to go to it because that's where I kind of want to wrap it up before we sign off here. But President Trump retweeting this, saying, "My next piece is called 'Nothing Can Stop What Is Coming,' was not by accident." And President Trump saying, who knows what this means, but it sounds good to me, is an obvious indication that he is fully aware of what's happening. And he's letting us know, I guess, out here, that the operation in the plan is going as planned. So, we'll have to just see what happens coming up in the future. But I'll leave it right there. Actually, one more story. This is something that I thought was fascinating. This Sylvia Browne book came out, I guess, back in 2012. And it says, in around 2020, a severe pneumonia-like illness will spread throughout the globe. attacking the lungs and the bronchial tubes and resisting all known treatments. Almost more baffling than the illness itself will be the fact that it will suddenly vanish as quickly as it arrived, attack again 10 years later, and then disappear completely. Now, half of this seems to be accurate, but, you know, if you throw enough darts against a board, and people like to say that about Q, but the difference is that Q is right the majority of the time. And this is, you know, just one example of how, you know, there are people out there who I think have the ability to see what is coming. I'm not sure if Sylvia was one of those people, but I can tell you right now that it is fascinating to look back and see these things and kind of examine them today in real time. So I just thought I'd leave that there. I'll leave a link if you want to read that for yourself down below. Links to everything will be in the description. And that's pretty much where we're going to wrap it up. A few more things before we go. Watch these videos, share them on your social media. You know there's a content suppression algorithm. It exists. It tries to shut down this content. It's a regular thing that happens here, but try to get the word out anyway. And leave your thoughts, theories, and insights below. I want to hear what you guys have to say about everything. Also, this video is brought to you in part by Brave. The Brave browser is a better browser. And if you guys have an internet browser and you're using Chrome or Internet Explorer or Mozilla Firefox, whatever it is, I encourage you all to use the link in the description and download Brave browser for free. So if you do that, you download it, run it, install it on your computer. It's better than all of your other internet browsers that you're using right now. Why? Because it blocks the ads, and that's a great benefit to anybody who wants to be able to read through an article without having a bunch of pop-up ads continue to interrupt their train of thought. That's something I like about it. I think you'll like this product. Again, it's free. Use the link in the description because if you download it, install it, and run it on your computer, they'll make a contribution to this channel. So it's a win-win. So I encourage everyone to go check out the Brave browser today. Also, you can support me on Twitter. Find me at JUSTINFORMED. That's the Twitter handle on Twitter, and we can have a conversation there outside the channel. Also, I'm on BitChute.com/JustinformedTalk. It's the backup channel basically for the channel here. Also, I'm on JustinFormedNews.com, so you can go there and get information as needed as well, latest videos and a bunch of links. So it's a good resource for everyone to go check out. Also, a couple of the ways you can help out are both financial. You can come over here to Patreon, Patreon.com. It's a crowdfunding website. It's a monthly donation. You set it and forget it. And all of you over here who are making this monthly donation, keep this channel alive. YouTube's taken away all the monetization. They've tried to put it out of business. I'm actually working to get some sponsors, so maybe you'll see some sponsors coming up on the channel. That would be a great step in the right direction. But truly, your continued support on Patreon is what keeps this channel going. So thank you for that. And if you want to do it and sign up, links to that will be in the description. Also, there's a link to the GoFundMe I have set up. If you want to make a one-time or anonymous donation, links to everything we've talked about here on this channel today will be in the description. So with that being said, we do a segment at the end of each one of these episodes called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. And today I was so angry. I have to tell you guys, I was so angry. I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, man, these people, the fake news liars, they just keep lying and lying and lying, and they keep deceiving us, and they keep doing everything they can to make us feel as though we don't know what's happening, and that President Trump's to blame, and that, you know, all of their leftist ideology is what's right, and everything that we stand for is wrong. And I was just sitting here and I'm looking at these stories and I'm getting angry and angry, and I opened the Bible and I'm like, God, please help me find something that'll help me understand, you know, how I can deal with this kind of anger and frustration. And God showed me exactly where to look. Romans chapter 12 verse we're going to read verse 19 through 21, and I want to share this with you. It says, "For it is written, vengeance belongs to me, I will repay, says the Lord. But if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he is thirsty, give him something to drink. For in so doing, you will be heaping fiery coals on his head. Do not be conquered by evil, but conquer evil with good." And when I heard those words and I read them and I kept reading them over and over again, it's like a tidal wave hit me. It was like a smack in the face. I don't know how to put it, but it just reminded me God is in control. And the best thing we can do is live and lead by example. And what I mean by that is what it says right there. It says, if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he is thirsty, give him something to drink. And that's, a lot of people say that's kind of like the kill them with kindness thing, but I think of it more as it's telling us that we have to move above what they do. If we're going to transcend this evil, if we're going to rise above it, then we have to act in a different manner. And in doing so, we'll be basically heaping fiery coals on their head and showing them both the path to redemption, which is through Christ, but also showing them our strength and our resolve to stand for what is right, no matter what cost comes. So that's my message to you guys. Remember, do not be conquered by evil. You must use the good that God gives you and puts in your life, the light in your heart, to conquer evil that exists in this world. So remember that. Share that with your families, friends, loved ones, whoever. Get that out there to your friends and just people you meet on the street. So that's my message to you. Take that, and I hope it strengthens you. And that's where we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. A few more things. Come here, click the subscribe button if you haven't. Make sure you hit the bell for notifications, and also hit it, punch it, tap it, bop it, twist it. There's a little thumbs up button. Go punch that. It's the like button on this video. Hit that. It lets me know that you guys like this content and want to see me make more. But that's going to be it for me. Thanks for watching this episode of Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.